So my infinite purpose is to live a healthier, happier, more energetically led, abundant life every day. Hi, I'm Gail. This is my channel, Diary of an Energy-Led Woman. Kind of does what it says on the tin. I come here and I share little diary notes most days about my life as an energy-led woman, my life following the energy within me and around me, and how I use that, master that, harness that, navigate that, all that kind of stuff. And for a while now, I've been kind of like a step away from it. I feel like those lashes are strange this morning. I do reapply my lashes most mornings because I can't sleep in them. And I feel like sometimes I get them spot on and sometimes I don't. And if you saw my video yesterday, that was definitely a day of don't. Anyway, let's just carry on. Let's just get on with this. Stop rambling, Gail. So, I'm Gail, I'm an energy-led woman, I live an energy-led life, this is my infinite purpose, here we are, let's go. Okay, so, yesterday, I feel like I really tapped in to energetics that I haven't been focused on for such a long time. And I find sometimes that I get so kind of caught up in focusing on the energetics or the depth of energetics, the complexity, that I forget dealing with the really simple day-to-day stuff. And that is kind of my focus at the moment, is my daily routine and, you know, changing those little daily kind of bits and pieces that we do, because our daily actions are what create our life. You know, ultimately the 2-week holiday doesn't create our whole life. You know, if we spend most of our year kind of, you know, not enjoying life and then we have a holiday, you know, the holiday doesn't kind of create the life. The daily routine is what creates the life. The things that you do every single day, the things that you focus on every single day, they stack up upon each other and they become life. So if you want a happy life, then what you've got to do is you've got to stack happy moments on top of happy moments on top of happy moments. And if that is truly your focus, so a lot of people, when you speak to them and you say, what do you want in life? They kind of go, oh, I want to be happy. If your focus is to be happy, then you've got to start stacking happy moments on top of each other, not waiting for the weekend. You've got to start bringing happiness out in your day-to-day life. And this is all energy-led. And this is kind of where my mind is at the moment. This is what I'm kind of focusing on. Because since I've come back from my holiday, I have been in that zone where it really is survival. And it really is just surviving through the day. I, you know, get up in the morning, do what I need to do, go to work, come home, make the tea, watch the TV, go to bed. And that has been like my survival mode for the last couple of weeks. And, you know, it's not joyful. It's not joyful. It's kind of numbing. It's kind of just existing. And when you really step into your days with purpose, and I don't mean purpose of getting through the day, completing the to-do list, you know, whatever the purpose might be that you have in mind when I say purpose. What I mean is, if you start your day with the purpose of, I am going to live a happy day. I'm going to clock the happy moments. I'm going to bank them, you know? Think of the weakest link, right? You know, they build the happy they build the right answers, build it, bank it, build it, bank it. And if they fall on the, you know, the wrong answer, then it kind of wipes out the right answers. So think about that in your life, right? Happy moment, bank it. Happy moment, bank it, right? And then the one bad moment comes. And because we haven't banked the happy moments, we then feel like the day is ruined because, you know, we've now had a bad moment. Does that make sense? Or am I kind of just, I don't know. It makes sense to me. That's what matters. So living a happy life means being on a happy frequency. It doesn't mean toxic. It doesn't mean toxic happiness, you know, staying positive all the time and being happy no matter what. It just means kind of like having this kind of baseline frequency that is contentedness, appreciation, positivity, whatever. So anyway, so I haven't been focusing on that side of things, and I started to focus on it a little bit more yesterday. If you've followed me for the last couple of days, you'll know that there's stuff going on around health, there's stuff going on around self-care, there's stuff going on around, like, I want to say manifesting abundance, aligning to abundance. Very, very different energy, very different energy. Anyway, that's a whole other video. So yesterday I found myself on a exploration of energy-led job, wealth and success. And I have recorded a video, and I'm not sure what I'm doing with it yet, but I have recorded a video of my exploration of that, because I don't think that we are fully appreciating work from an energetic perspective. I don't think I was fully appreciating work from an energetic perspective. I say we, but I often just mean me. When I'm talking about, we need to do this and you need to do this, oftentimes I'm talking to myself. So I talked in this video about how for a long, long time I felt trapped by the job, because it takes up 8 hours of the day, and that time freedom's gone, and anything that I want to do has to fit in and around the start of the day or the end of the day or lunch hour or whatever. And I used to feel really kind of trapped in it. And I started to see it from a slightly different perspective, and I started to see it as something that served me rather than something that I served, you know? So, you know, it's really easy to get into that zone when it comes to work of feeling like you do something for them. You know, you're turning up, they're paying you to turn up, but you're turning up and you're doing, so, you know, you're there to serve that. When actually, work is here to serve you. I'm getting my foundations muddled up here, guys. Just hang on one sec while I just, yeah, I was right. It's here to serve you as well. If it's part of your life, then it has a purpose in your life, and not just a purpose of, you know, giving you money, okay? Because money's a whole different energy anyway. Anyway, I'm not going to go into that right now. But it is here to serve a purpose. So when you actually sit down and look at your work, your job, what you do, I want you to think about it from a perspective of how does this serve me? You know, not just money-wise, you know. It brings structure into your life, you know. It brings people into your life. It brings challenges to overcome. There's so much more that work actually brings for us. But ultimately, we need to make work, if we're spending 8 hours of a day at work, we need to be in a decent frame of mind about it. You know, we need to be in a frame of mind where it brings us joy. Because if we're spending 8 hours a day in crappy energy, then we ain't changing our lives, and we ain't doing anything that's going to get us into a good place. Because if your frequency is about feeling frustrated, resentful, angry, trapped, then you can't live on a frequency that is going to bring goodness, not goodness. So the emotional guidance scale, on the emotional guidance scale, the center point is boredom and contentedness, okay? They're your two kind of center points on the emotional guidance scale. So you need to be above contentedness, okay? Because if you are below boredom, so that is when you drop into frustration, anger, depression, defeatedness, guilt, shame, all that kind of crappy energy, right? Then wherever you are on the emotional guidance scale is the frequency that you are transmitting, okay? If you're transmitting crappy energy, then you are attracting crappy energy too. Because energies, it's like a channel. if you open up a channel of crappy energy and you live in a channel of crappy energy, when you are in that crappy energy, that channel is open and it is sending more crappy energy stuff to you, things to feel crappy about. So what you need to do is you need to switch off that channel and turn on a channel up here, which is appreciation, positivity, hopefulness, happiness, you know? And knowing that that is part of energy and part of how things work and a part of, in effect, how life works, how reality works, can help you to manage your day a little bit better, because you need to switch your frequency. And I am someone who, it's written in my human design, that I am all about the present moment. So for me, I am all about noticing a frequency in the moment and changing that frequency. I'm not about, you know, some people dig into past lives, they want to analyze it, they want to relive it again so that they can release it and stuff like that. And I get it. But I don't. I want to get rid of it. I want to switch. I want to switch myself from the energy that I am giving off, the frequency that I am in, and I want to switch myself up quickly to a better energy so that I am attracting a better frequency into my life. So frequency is really powerful. Frequency is energy. Frequency is the measurement of energy. Checking my brows out because I got them really wrong yesterday, guys. I spent all day being annoyed at them. Frequency is really powerful. And most of the tools or most of the things that you see me doing are linked to changing my frequency. So yesterday, I recorded this particular video. They're a bit better than yesterday. Yesterday, I recorded this particular video about work. And the purpose was because I knew I needed to change my frequency. I knew I needed to change my frequency. So as a self-projected projector, speaking, is it because I lift the eyebrow up all the time? Relax. Right, I'm going to look at that later and see what my eyebrows look like. But I do feel like I'm lifting the eyebrow up a lot. Anyway, Gail, back. Right, frequency. So frequency is the measurement of energy. Energy is the cells within your body vibrating and how quickly they vibrate. Frequency is the measurement of energy, of that movement. So frequency, like a radio station. Oh God, we're going back to a really old analogy of mine, but it makes so much sense. I know when you want to listen to a transmitted radio station on your receiver, okay, so your receiver is, let's say it's the radio in your car. So you want to listen to, in England, BBC Radio 1, 98.9 FM. So you tune your receiver into 98.9 FM and you receive the frequency that is being transmitted on 98.9 FM, wherever. It comes to you, it connects. So that frequency gets spat out of speakers and hits your eardrums, and then it all becomes, you know, your favourite song, yeah? Think about that and think about the frequency that you are giving off. So you are in a frequency, let's say you're in a positive frequency, okay? So the frequency that you are the receiver and the transmitter. So the frequency that you are giving off is 101 FM, okay? So you're giving off 101 FM, you're tuned into 101 FM, okay? The only thing you can receive is 101 FM. So you just receive more, 101 FM. So if 101 FM is happiness or hopefulness, let's use hopefulness. If 101 FM is hopefulness, you are tuned into a frequency of hopefulness, guess what's coming? More stuff to be hopeful about. Okay? So let's put that into a real life example. So if you are watching the news, and the news is all doing its all wonderful fear mongering that it does. So let's say it's doing fear mongering about finances. You know, we're about to hit a recession again. Nobody's spending any money. Oil crisis is happening. Money's, you know, it's going to cost us more to live, blah, 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 blah. By the way, over here, there are still billionaires raking it in through what we are paying for the stuff that we pay for. But that's a whole other thing. Don't get me started on that. So let's say you've watched the news this morning. So you were at boredom or contentedness, okay? And then you've watched the news. And now you've started to, your frequency started to drop closer and closer to fear. Because now you're beginning to be worried. You're now worrying about what's going to happen to you in 6 months' time. You know, are you going to be able to pay the mortgage? What's going to happen to, you know, cars? What's, you know, you're now worried about all this. So your frequency is dropping. So now as you go about your day, you are in this kind of worry, fear kind of frequency, and you are tuned into that. So what's going to happen is all the things, you're going to open social media, it's going to be full of the same kind of thing. You're going to go to work's maybe going to put a bulletin out and it's going to be like, you know, oh, you know, where are we going to be in 6 months' time? We need you to stop traveling. We need you to stop spending money, you know, so there, and basically that frequency is just going to expand in your day, because you are creating your day and your reality through that frequency. That is why being an energy led is so important, and that is why I do it. And clearly I needed that reminder this morning, which is very interesting, because I come on here to record, and in honesty, I don't know what I'm going to record until I get speaking. I'm a self-projected projector. You will have heard me say this umpteen times. I'm a self-projected projector, which means I hear my truth as I speak. Now, I have just, I haven't even thought of this morning. I've been focused a bit on 2027, which is a big thing that's coming up soon. And a lot of changes are going to start happening in our lives with 2027. So I've been focusing a little bit on 2027. I actually came on thinking, oh, right, diary. So what did I do yesterday? Let's talk about what I did yesterday. And then I got on about work and I've ended up here. That's what I was saying. So a lot of what I do is about changing my frequency in the moment. So I am not someone who, you know, I want to meditate for half an hour to get rid of something. I want to shift the frequency quickly. I want to do it right now. I want it shifted. As soon as I notice it, and I notice it isn't serving me, I want rid of it. I want it gone. So I don't want to sit in that frequency. So a lot of what I do is quick shifts. So one of the things that I mentioned yesterday that had come to light was that I felt like I didn't have enough time in the day. And so I'm in a frequency, I'm giving off that frequency. Okay, I've just said it. So if I feel like there isn't enough time in the day, that is something that is coming from me, because time is a man-made construct, okay? So that is something that is coming from me. It's coming from inside me. I am kind of giving off a frequency that there isn't enough time in the day. I'm tuned into that frequency. So guess what's coming back? Like more of that. So the day one where I kind of went, oh, I haven't got enough time in the day, right? That energy expanded in my life, and the next day it felt like I had even less time, and the next day it felt like I had even less time, and then I'm saying it to myself, oh, God, why don't I have enough time in the day? I just keep saying it over and over, and the energy keeps expanding, it keeps coming back at me. So yesterday I did a energy cast. I call them energy casting. If you're into kind of witchiness, you might want to call them spells. But I call them energy casting. Yes, for those eagle-eyed amongst you, I did dye my hair yesterday. Anyway, so right, so I call it energy casting. So I did an energy cast yesterday. I've put it on my shorts, where I literally changed my frequency in the moment. And do you know what? I can't stop messing with my hair now. Do you know what? Yesterday changed. Yesterday went on for flipping ever. It honestly seemed to go on forever, because I changed my frequency. And that is why they work for me. That is what I mean. I don't need to analyze why I've got no time. I don't need to dig into the details. I don't need to go kind of like, you know, miles into this kind of stuff to uncover it, to realize what it is. I just noticed the frequency, and I suddenly went, God, I've got no time in the day. Why am I saying that to myself? I need to shift that. So I started to shift it, I started to move it, and then doing the candle, the energy casting, actually was the final moment in that. So I did that. So just to round up a little bit of yesterday, work, I explored work from an energy-led perspective, because right now at the moment, after my holiday, you know, you've been on holiday, you've been free, you've been doing what you want, laying around on a sunbed all day, come back to work, all of a sudden you've got deadlines, you've got pressures, all that. Wasn't loving it. So I explored that from a work perspective, explored what it was, went into the detail of that for myself, slowed down time, because there's so much stuff that I want to put in my day and I'm not managing to do it right now. So I've slowed down time. So time for me now is much slower. It's not going as fast. It's there is spaciousness in my day, all that kind of stuff. And I kind of retuned, I guess, through both of those things into living an energy-led life. I retuned into what it means to hold my frequency, what it means to master my frequency, what it means to harness it, to navigate it, to understand it. And that is all coming from potentially new moon and the things that were coming up for me around the new moon. We're in that waning crescent. If you watched me yesterday, you'll know that I was like questioning myself, is it waxing crescent? We're in waxing crescent. We're in waxing crescent at the moment, which is this kind of vibe of whatever was coming through as those new moon intentions, now we're refining them. And I can feel myself refining what was coming through over the last couple of days. We're also currently in mid-spring, and that is actually kind of like our, should we say it's taking form? So we get to the height of summer, we blossom, we become all we are meant to be, and then we hit kind of late summer and August, and we start tidying things up and sorting things out and kind of, you know, purging stuff, getting rid of stuff, you know, that we no longer want. We hit winter and preparing for winter. We hit winter and everything is about inwards. It's all about recoding yourselves inside. It's all about, you know, taking on nourishment, taking on self-care, recoding ourselves. You know, there's that's where the main shift happens. We shift into inside who we're going to be. And then when spring comes, we, you know, the energy starts to take us, we start to flow again. And then last kind of like early spring season is all about beginnings. Now we're at mid-season, it's about taking form. You know, if you look outside at any of your plants, you know, in the kind of like early spring, you know, the greenery starts to sprout. Now when you look at it, it's starting to take form, it's starting to take shape. That's the same as what we're going through right now on our evolution this year. So I don't know what I've rambled on about. I never do. I have to watch this back. I have to hear my truth. I have to decide what the hell I'm going to call this and what I'm going to put in the caption so that you guys know what it's about. But hey, here we go. It's done. It's recorded. It's down. I'll go listen to it. I hope you got something from it. And, you know, watch out for some shorts during the day, because I generally follow up with a couple of shorts that just kind of like link up to it. Just my thoughts afterwards when I re-listen. Catch you later.